Hello everyone and welcome back. This video is going to be about some useful built-in JavaScript methods. Now when I say methods, that's basically a function. Think of it as code that somebody else wrote that we can use. Now as we get later on, we're going to create our own methods, but for right now it's code that somebody else wrote. But before we really do that, I want to talk about comments in JavaScript. You remember comments in HTML were like this. Comments in CSS were two forward slashes, and the same is true in JavaScript. This is a comment, and it just does the exact same thing as it did in HTML and CSS. It lets you document your code, but it doesn't actually run. So the compiler doesn't actually do anything when you're writing a comment. You can also write comments like with a forward slash and a star, and that allows you to do multi-line comments. The console is being annoying. I did the wrong thing. So star, and then I can shift enter and do this is a multi-line comment. And as long as I end it with the inverse, with the star, then the forward slash, it's all commented out. So the first useful method is only useful in the console. You're not ever going to actually put this in your program, but it's useful when you're using the console, is clear. C-L-E-A-R, open and close parentheses. And what that does is exactly what you would think. It clears the console. Another useful method is alert. And all your methods are going to have open and close parentheses because methods are basically functions, and you simply call them with open and close parentheses, because if you don't put your open and close parentheses, it doesn't actually run them, it just tells you about it. Alert allows you to type stuff to the user. This is annoying. No? It pops up on the screen. Now, alert is not something you're going to want to use very often. You should almost never do this on a live web page. Really, the only useful way to use it is if users are trying to leave your page without saving something, or if they're trying to delete something important. But that's really the only use of the alert nowadays. Other than that, it's just super annoying to your users. One thing to note here, your console sometimes will get errors. Anything that's red is an error. A lot of times if you're using a live web page, you'll run into these errors. And as we get into writing our own web pages and hosting them and things like that, we're going to talk about how to do this. But for now, you can safely ignore pretty much all of those errors. Another useful method is console.log. Console.log simply logs things to the console. This is very similar to cout in C++ or print in Python or a variety of other things in a variety of other languages, but basically it's just a way for you to put something in the console. I'm logging this for later. Very useful for debugging your programs, things like that. So that's console.log. Another useful method is prompt. It allows you to get information from the user. So prompt, open and close parentheses, and inside of those parentheses you put a string of whatever you want the message to the user to be. So, how is your day? They'll get a pop-up asking them, how's your day? Pretty good. Thanks for asking. And that value is returned. Now, right now, we're not doing anything with that value. So instead, we could set a variable to const username equals prompt. What is your username? It'll ask me. I'm going to use username of 12345 is my username. And now, whenever I reference username, it returns that value. So prompt is a way for us to get information from the user. Again, this is not a very user-friendly way to do it. This is kind of an old 1993 kind of holdover way to get information from the user. So when we actually sit down to start creating our real websites, we're not going to use prompt, but it's very useful now, and it's useful for mock-ups and for debugging and things like that. So prompt is pretty useful for us to learn JavaScript. So in this video, we talked about comments. We talked about how to clear the console. Clear. We talked about alert, yo, how that gives a pop-up to your user. We talked about console.log, testing. We also talked about prompt and how you can get information from your user using prompt. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to help. Thanks.